and I hear it all the time. But you know what? They beat up on each other all year. It's such a brutal conference. The SEC and the Big 12 was more physical last year to me than the Big 10. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hoop Portal. Today, I've got Jacob back in the building to get into some Big 10 talk. We'll get into SEC talk. We'll get into Big 12 talk. We're going to review the final three power conferences. I'm your host, JR Laurens. Before we get into it, Jacob, how are you doing today, my man?
Oh man, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm excited for some college basketball. When it's been a slow off season, always feels like a long off season, and November can't come soon enough. I'm definitely excited to get into it, talk to you about a couple different things today, and there's a lot of interesting storylines headed into this 25-26 season. I'm definitely excited to say the least.
There absolutely is. Let's just get right into it. Big 10, first with our Big 10 preview. I've got Purdue, Michigan, Illinois at the top three spots. I think Purdue is the clear favorite. Purdue's probably the favorite to win the national championship, understandably so with the talent they have coming in. Michigan, my biggest thing with them too is still Dusty May. I think he's starting to really prove himself as one of the best coaches in the country. The Illinois, UCLA 3-4 for me is simply based off I think these coaches need to do that. And you touched on, too, what Mick Cronin needed to do this year. He has to have a good year. 5, I'm going to take Michigan State, and that's simply off Izzo. You're more of an Izzo guy than I am.
Love
but
Izzo.
I can't deny he is still a good coach in Michigan. Michigan State still will be a tough team every year as long as he's the coach. I do think it's basically a two-horse race at the top. I don't know if Illinois is really at the level of Purdue and Michigan at this point. And looking back at the Big Ten last year, 2 games separated seeds 2 through 8. So basically, again, you had the 1 seed, which was Michigan State won it by 3 games last year, and then Maryland was 2, Michigan 3, Wisconsin, Purdue, UCLA, Illinois, Oregon, and again, those 2 through 8 spots were literally only split by 2 games. Indiana actually finished up just under Oregon as well at 9, which I feel like it feels like they had a way worse year than being mid-table in the Big Ten. And then a team you want to touch on.
Purdue, Illinois, Michigan in that order. Purdue, okay. This is one of those years where it's supposed to come all together. It's just so funny looking back on it. Man, I just remember when we were younger and Purdue not getting over the hump was one of the big storylines from that 2010 to 2017 range where they just had a lot of promising teams, a lot of talent. We could just name Purdue Boilermakers.
Shout out Carson Edwards. Carson Edwards
just make
had
that
one
a
of the
podcast.
best, literally.
But yeah, I think they have to make it to the Elite Eight this year. I'm not going to say it's national championship or bust. I'm not going to say it's Final Four or bust because you never know how it's going to break. I think it's Elite Eight or bust 100%. I'm just trying to be a little bit of a realist here. But Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn are 2 of my favorite players in college basketball. Their bigs are always going to be successful. From a lot that I read up on going into this, before this, after this, everybody loves what Matt Painter has going on at West Lafayette. It's that meme of he's always just going to be on the prowl for 7-footers in the European area or just pretty much anywhere inside and outside the country. Just to zag off of what you were saying, I just don't know how high I am on UCLA this year. And I think it just simply comes down to Mick Cronin. I know I touched on it. I'm selling my Mick Cronin stock, but I'm not super confident in their ability to go on the road in some of these environments and get wins that really matter in January and in February. And then UCLA. So I am just buying all the Andre Stojakovic stock that I have. I'm buying any and all available Andre Stojakovic stock. Especially with him and Killen Boswell, they're always a sneaky good team. And you are giving that credit to Izzo with Michigan State. I know he's not a top 3 coach, not a top 5 coach, but I think Brad Underwood has his players to go on a year in, year out basis. I'm a big fan of that coaching staff ever since he got to Illinois after he was there at Oklahoma State. And I think that they're always going to be a pencil-in team to upset a couple top 15 teams throughout the regular season. Come playoff time, I know sometimes it's been disappointed or a little bit of a disappointment, especially with that the Kofi Coburn and Io year when they lost to Loyola in the round of 32. But I'm just, especially with the Big Ten and how balanced or lack of a balance there is, depending on how you feel, I just think overall Illinois is going to be one of those frisky good teams that is just consistently good, especially with Underwood I do have a Big Ten question for you.
Lay it on me.
So I have to know, and I have to hear your opinion on how well you think Elliot Cadeau is going to be for the Michigan Wolverines this year.
I do think he can have a good year, and I think it more so is also Dusty May. I think his time at Carolina was a roller coaster. He had moments where it was fantastic. He had moments where you couldn't even play him in the game, specifically kind of some of those tournament games where teams were just sagging off of him, daring him to shoot three. He did improve his 3-point shooting in the next year after that. I do think Dusty May will get more out of him than Hubert Davis. I think systematically, Elliot Cadeau is a really good point guard, but the system he needs to be in was not what North Carolina was running. And I think Dusty May is a coach that's proven he can do it in different places, he can do it in different ways, and he can do it in different schematic schemes. FAU and Michigan played super differently if you compare the two teams from his time there to what they did over the last year. So I think for him, he's proven as a coach, he's not a specific system coach. He will adjust to the players he had. Elliot Cadeau is a tremendous talent. Elliot Cadeau was at one point considered to be an NBA player. I think at his size, it becomes really difficult. But if he's going to max out and expand his college game, I think going with a coach like Dusty May and being at a place like Michigan is going to do him a lot more for his career than what he did at North Carolina. Yep. I enjoyed him at North Carolina. There's many points where there was frustrating passes and turnovers and situations. But the truth of the matter is the system that North Carolina runs is not a system that is built for a young point guard to make a decision. It's really for an RJ Davis to get a bunch of shots and try to get stretch fours and things like that. You remove that and try to put the ball in Elliot's hand when you don't want him really taking those shots and making that decision in that system. He was basically set up for failure. Now, some will blame him, some will blame Hubert. I think he'll have a really good year at Michigan, though.
I love it. No, I'm hoping, especially with just how solid Michigan's been overall. I definitely think that he is a player that sometimes all you need is just that change of scenery, and I think he definitely fits that profile of a player that's going to do well, even if it didn't come in that Tar Heel blue.
So the Big Ten also has quite a few new faces in Maryland. Buzz Williams is in town now to try to, I don't even want to say revitalize that program. I think really just replace and try to maintain it and keep it up. Ben McCollum's coming in at Iowa. DeVries coming in at Indiana, and you've got Nico Medved from Colorado State coming in at Minnesota. Are any of those coaches you think, who, I guess, out of those four coaches, who do you think Williams, has the best season? Yeah, Buzz at Maryland, Ben at Iowa, DeVries at Indiana, Nico at Minnesota. Out of those coaches, who do you think is going to have the best regular season in the Big Ten?
Brain says Buzz Williams, heart says Ben McCollum at Iowa, baby. Coaching in Missouri, you have an appreciation for the job that he did. And he is a Division II legend. Those offensive sets I could rewatch on YouTube and never get sick and tired of. I think he's going to build something really well at Iowa. I think McCaffrey did a really good job, but McCaffrey only took him to here, and I think McCollum can take him to that next level, especially with, him being a proven winner. I know off the air we were talking about Kirk Cignetti, and I think what helped Cignetti was his ability to win at the FCS level. I think with McCollum, his ability to win at the Division II level is going to give him, and it gave him that big game experience that you saw took over when they beat Missouri. I am a big fan of what he did at that level, and I think from an offensive standpoint, what he did in the recruiting aspect at Iowa, even if the brain says Buzz Williams, I'm going to go with what my heart tells me.
I'm with you. The team to watch to me this year in the Big Ten is Iowa. I am so ready to see what this jump again for him looks like. He's got, you touched on it, D2 legend. He's got 4 natties at the D2 level.
Yeah.
Last year, they had with Drake, they had a double-digit win over SEC school, a good Missouri team that had been battle-tested. That team, I remember watching that game. It wasn't a game where you honestly ever even felt like, yeah, Missouri's good. Like there are times when the underdog will go up 7 or 8, and you're like, okay, yeah, but the big dog's going to come back. They're going to figure this out. At no point did I ever feel, honestly, that Missouri was going to get it. It kind of turned into a free throw thing at the end, but Bennett Stirs just made so many plays. 21 points against that Missouri team.
He crushed
McCollum's
it.
got 6 players coming over from Drake into that Iowa roster. Now, all of them going to play? Probably not. I think about 4 of them, though, were in that top 6 group at Drake, and now they're coming in at Iowa. I think also with the Big Ten in that style of play, I think he can have a really, really good situation. I think they'll be in a lot of games, and I think his coaching ability, which we've seen and you've talked about, all the offensive sets, if he can keep the games close, I will take him over probably at least 8 to 9 other coaches in the Big Ten at the end of a game situation and just say, look, if he's able to get, 10 close games in the conference and go 7-3 in those games, they could easily be a top half team. So I'm really intrigued by watching Iowa this year, and I can't wait to see it. That being said, Big Ten, it is time to put up or shut up. Every year we go down this route of how good the Big Ten is. They never perform in the tournament. Insert Jim Boeheim clip before he retired talking about how trash they are every year, but we hear it on and on and on. Okay? And I hear it all the time, but you know what? They beat up on each other all year. It's such a brutal conference. The SEC and the Big 12 was more physical last year to me than the Big 10. And both those conferences did really well in the tournament. They had let's see, for the SEC, who I think is more physical than the Big 10, outside of apparently Jay Billis and everybody else doesn't agree with me though. The SEC had 4 teams in the Elite 8, 2 teams in the Final Four, and the national champion. Right? There's a level to this. Why I still hear that the Big 10 is the best conference in the country, I don't get it. Those teams I don't think could survive in the Big 12. Those teams I don't think could survive in the SEC. So for me right now, the Big 10, they've got to get to the point where it is put up or shut up time. You should have the best team in the country. You said they're Elite 8 or bust. Your media, you're feeding into the agenda that the Big 10 is going to be good and the best team only needs to get to the Elite 8. No. Purdue needs to be in the Final Four. Yeah. Purdue needs to be in the Final Four, and I think legitimately they need to have, I would say, at least 4 of those teams and 4 or 5 of those teams in the Sweet 16, and I would like to see, again, maybe 4 in the Elite 8. I just don't think we can't keep doing this over and over again. Jacob, I wasn't even 2 years old yet the last time the Big Ten won a national championship in basketball.
Michigan State,
2000. This is the last time.
I think Big Ten, there's a debate to be had on whether or not it's the best conference in college football. And I think Big Ten is actually starting to take some pressure away from the SEC. But in college basketball, yeah, Big Ten has just been a little bit of a letdown compared to the regular season hype. I understand when they go at each other, it's, you can make the argument that in conference play, it's some of the best basketball. It's up there with the best of the ACC, the best of the SEC. But yeah, disappointing.
It is. But anyway, Big Ten, I'm going to go take Purdue to win the conference. I'll go frisky and go Ducks to win the conference tournament. Shout out Dana Altman. He's a tournament time guy. But yeah, I'll go with that. One coach I did want to point out on, and I'm a team I'm really intrigued by seeing, is USC, and more so the Muss bus.
Yeah.
And if he can really get this train rolling, his time at Arkansas, I loved watching those teams play with Jordan Walsh, Anthony Black. They were defensive monsters. They had that one game in the Maui where it was just, they were lunging all over the court. It was amazing defense, 2-hand rebounds, gives me PTSD back to Central Michigan in perfection. But all in all, though, Arkansas was doing an amazing job. Yeah. They had that run to the Elite 8, I believe, when Muss has got his shirt off, yelling and screaming, calling the Hogs home. I want to see that in USC this year. I really want to see that out of Muss this year at USC. Any closing thoughts you got on the Big Ten preview this year?
No, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, again, I agree with you on the Purdue chalk pick, and then your frisky pick was Oregon. My frisky pick is going to be Illinois in terms of that second spot. Big Ten, I know I'm going to take a swing and miss on who's going to win, so I won't even touch that prediction. But I'm excited to see what the Big Ten has to offer, and I'm definitely rooting for Purdue to do well this year.
Got it. I'm with you. I'm going for Iowa. I really want to see them. Purdue's going to be good. Yeah. Thank you guys for getting involved. That was the Big Ten preview. Remember, enter your name to hit the hit the subscribe button to enter your name in the portal. It's kind of been a while. We haven't done one in a minute. Yeah, turn the notification bell on. We've got more previews coming up. We'll have watch-alongs coming on. When the season gets started, we're about 1 month away. I'm ready to go, and thank you guys for tuning in.